No! It's 2023.
I was waiting for you to do it, to be honest.
I was trying to sense when you did it, and I wanted to go at the same time.
Yeah.
But I was like, fuck, I can't. I got caught between. I was going to go cross-eyed when I was looking at the monitor and trying to look at you at the same time.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
I saw my nose, and my brain was like, what the shit?
Well, guess what, guys? It's balcony time.
It is. We are here.
It's the show after the show, or,
the balcony.
We do things that show. This is going to be the second best episode of anything ever recorded ever.
It's true.
Well, I mean, as a courtesy, we let other podcasts do their thing.
Sure.
I mean,
we grant them the right.
Yeah.
But that's only as far as I know, there's like 4 podcasts out.
There's other podcasts.
Like 4 of them. So you should probably check out this one though. Mm-hmm. Or the other one that's allowed on to be a podcast is called Video Game Tango, I believe. It's this in balcony time, and
we make up
it.
86% of all podcasts.
Yeah, and Video Game Tango, we literally just recorded the best episode of the best show of all time.
Yeah.
So, just saying.
It's like the first time your great-grandpa heard the radio.
Well, now that we're done self-pleasuring,
Let's
Nick,
talk about self-pleasuring.
Let's talk about self-pleasuring.
What a smooth transition. Second best cast of all time. Pornhub recently released their 2022 year-in review. And I want to cherry pick a few of the United States top relative searches when compared to other states, because this is fun.
I've already looked at the Pornhub stats. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this.
I'm really intrigued by our state. It's interesting.
Well,
I wouldn't expect it.
Okay, what's our
just
state?
The article as a whole, they do some really interesting stuff. They talk about worldwide, what's getting popular, what's losing popularity. But of course, us being American, it's fun to look at the states. So here in Oregon, the most relative search when compared to all other states is furry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got a
really
large
unexpected
percentage of people into furry porn here in Oregon. Some other immediate standouts that amuse me.
Texas is stepdaughter.
Texas is panties.
I get that.
They are the panties of the United States. So,
okay,
like
not the direction I was going to take that, but that's very on point. Washington State Fleshlight, which.
That's weird.
Are they looking for instructional videos? I'm not entirely sure.
I guess. I don't know.
Just watching people go to town on a fleshlight. Alaska is sadly underaged.
Breast expansion.
The fuck?
They are into inflation up in the massive state of Alaska.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of on brand. I like that Michigan is sucking dick. Of all the ways you can define blowjob with our massive terminology, they're just keeping it simple, keeping it real. Sucking dick for Michigan.
That's going to be a barometer.
Big black cock.
Oh, BBC. Good for them.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. That's normal. That's pretty normal.
Yeah, black is obviously in the southern states.
Which state has
a lot of them.
the weirdest one?
The weirdest one. Well, I mean, that depends
okay,
on
that's
your...
fair.
GILF for South Carolina, grandmothers I like to fuck. That's a bit up there and strange.
Which state is bringing the stepbro, stepsis?
Okay, here's
to the
weirdest
top of the
one.
lineup.
I think if we had to go just strange, rub is Nebraska. I'm not sure what type of rubbing, but apparently
sensual, obviously.
They were just trying to find out what's the rub.
Oh, could be.
And they were like, "Oh shit,
is it for barbecuing or smoking? What?"
The most disparate one is Colorado's is goth.
Yeah,
I mean,
next to Utah, which is Mormon, of course, Mormon porn.
So that's just where they shake hands, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, they put the fucking bubbles around them.
Okay,
exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Porn music videos takes it for Ohio because they have to, I guess, multitask. Music and porn at the same time.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So far, that's the weirdest one for me.
It is a little strange. A lot of these, black, Dominican, Asian.
What's Rhode Island?
Dude, black, though. Black is all the Bible Belt. Look at the area.
Yeah, there's quite a few, which makes sense, right? It makes
taboo.
sense. Rhode Island is group. So some form of
Okay.
group
I
porn.
mean, who doesn't like a good gangbang scene?
Rhode
you know?
Island and Connecticut have that in common. Harry Pussy takes it for Pennsylvania. Looks like here, keeping it real. That's fine.
Just like old Uncle Ben used to like.
Yeah. Tennessee with Strap On is.
Definitely not gay.
It's nothing wrong with Strap On, just the fact that it was the most searched thing.
Yeah.
It's just curious.
For sure. It's all the dudes fighting their gay urges that live in Tennessee.
Dude, Florida is, of course, BBC.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's full of retired people that were angry about a plus-size woman being on Sports Illustrated that are searching for BBC.
Mm-hmm.
What's California's?
California's Asian, which makes sense. A lot of Asians in California. I think the most amusing one of the hottest states, Arizona, is shower. They're just overheating down there.
cool shower.
Anime takes it not only in Maine, northeast United States, but also in Oklahoma. So you got something in common there, Oklahomans and Maine-ites.
Okay.
It's very fun.
Honestly,
Yep.
porn and sex, that leads to world peace, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of apartheid, apart thighs.
Okay.
Amateur Wife takes it in Hawaii, and another leather, I think, is an interesting one for Montana.
Yeah.
They
No,
got
it's not.
Lots of cows.
That's not interesting. It's cowboy porn.
It's,
You would- okay, sure, yeah.
cowboy.
It's a lot
You
of
think cowboy
chaps.
would be the.
It's a lot of
number one
chaps.
search there. Idaho, known for their conservative ways and Mennonites,
It's potatoes in the
is
butts.
hentai. Yeah, the most
Oh.
strange porn they can probably think
So
of.
what? In this sense, I assumed anime was hentai.
They're not defining terms
yeah.
here. This is just literally what people typed into the box relative to other
okay.
states.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
if you
I gotcha,
compare,
I gotcha.
yeah, Oregon to every other state.
So no one just had straight up anal?
No, anal's apparently
That's basic.
passe now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Basic.
There's pegging.
Oh,
yeah, that's a little different than anal, but
Well,
I mean,
Still requires an anus.
I mean, I think the simplest one is Georgia with big ass. They know what they like,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Amen, brother.
So I thought,
it makes the world go round.
yeah.
Georgia might be a hot mosquito-filled hellhole, but they
course,
know what they like.
North Carolina is trying to one up them with a big black ass.
Aha.
Well, I mean, sometimes you gotta get specific.
You did mention family stuff. Stepmom in Kentucky.
So
Of course.
it's the sheer amount of people in Kentucky that make number one videos in America that I have to wade through.
Yeah.
to
I guess
find,
so, yeah.
It's people, man.
Yeah, it's baffling.
What else is there to do in Kentucky other than mine and jerk it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the deep
So some
dark
fun facts for you all.
hills of
Eastern Kentucky.
That's the place where I bathe most of the time.
That's the place where I banged my bloodline.
Oh,
There you
Yeah. So the Pornhub searches were interesting. I was again really interested for our state because
you like to know for some reason.
well, you
I
know,
was
we
interested, I get it, yeah.
have one major metropolitan area, and that's where I would expect.
It's also fun to see your tastes fall on there. So, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, even non-metropolitan people that still got phones.
Sure, yeah,
You know?
no, it's just
It'd be interesting to see where the furry searching was coming from.
It's weird considering how conservative most of the state is in landmass, right?
Well, once you learn pretty quickly, conservative people try to look at the weirdest porn
that's true.
because
That's
it's
true.
the most taboo, right?
Yeah, no, that's very true. And you know, they're conservative only in politics and money, not their porn.
I'm just saying, who doesn't want to see a girl dressed like Judy Hopps trying to make a carrot disappear?
Very true.
Amen, brother. I have other notes for us. So okay, all right.
Duel of the Fate.
So we were talking briefly about I was watching some Adam Sandler movies,
Yeah.
and then I almost brought up why I don't like watching movies for the most part, and why I have a hard time getting into some video games, most video games, or buying them.
It's all the masturbating.
No, so I mean, my notes were self-pleasure guilt. But no, in all honesty, it's getting so difficult now, especially with I know I need to do some work on the podcast. I have, regular house chores to do. I work a full-time job, et cetera, et cetera. Like my time is really consumed by things that I have to do.
Yeah.
And squeezing any leisure time in there is really difficult. Because even when I'm doing my leisure time and I'm in front of a computer, it's gotten to a point where like what I use computers for at this point is productivity. Mm-hmm. And trying to watch a movie or dedicate myself to a new TV series or play a video game has turned into this like massive guilt spiral that I get into. Like even if I launched AZ for like an hour, I get anxious towards the end of it where I'm like, okay, well that was enough. I gotta do something productive. And yeah, I find myself in these fucking shame spirals for doing something for myself, spending some time for myself.
See, that's a little weird. Maybe because I only use my computer for entertainment. Mm-hmm. Like I don't feel like that way at all. Now I've gotten a little like kind of like I would say blasé or bored with some of the like the titles, and I'm like looking to like reach at like like spread out like my tastes a little bit. But yeah, I only use my machine, like I only use it for entertainment. Yeah. So like that's I don't know. Yeah, like that's I feel general guilt about how much time I spend on there, which is why I work out so much. But that's the guilt I feel. But like you're talking about something a little bit different there. I feel like
it is also. I mean, if you look into it, it's very common nowadays to have that sense of what am I doing, wasting my time, right? Yeah. So I wouldn't feel singled out by it. But there's I
know that it's probably pretty common.
There's a lot of factors that go into it. One, your age, the fact that video games, have been really important to us through most of our lives. And, I really found in my mid-20s a period where regardless of how much I enjoyed a single-player game, it was time I was spending not being social, right? Yeah. And I found that almost any game I played with other people, I enjoyed a factor more, regardless of how good the game was, just because I was being social about it. So in a similar vein, how much entertainment are you getting? Is this needed entertainment? Do you need de-stressing and de-gossing from life to do this? Because that seems to be more of a case the way you game is, you do all your hobbies and work and stuff that are non-game related, non-computer related, working out, going out and doing your job. And when you come back, that is your time to relax.
Yeah, right? That is my relaxation. That coupled with TV.
Fix and work on computers for your day job. You do the podcast on the computer. You have all these other projects you're doing, and they're all computer-centric. So I think that compiles the fact that when you're on the computer just playing a game by yourself, quote-unquote, what the fuck am I doing, right?
Yeah, no, unless I'm playing a social game where I'm distracted enough from essentially my work environment. I get like really stressed while playing games now.
I feel like it's because it's the computer setup. I honestly feel like if you're gonna watch a movie or something, you set up like a TV or something, or you get out of your chair and go lay down on your bed.
No, because
then you'll fall asleep or whatever.
Well, no, I've tried doing leisure time separate. So this is something that I've just.
I was going to say, are you going to feel the same amount of guilt by reading a book?
Yes. So I can.
Okay. So it's just you're feeling guilty about not being productive. It's not necessarily anything to do with the computer.
It isn't necessarily to do with the computer. I think it's like probably more intense at the computer. But if like in the morning, I like to wake up like when I don't have anything to do right away, like get ready for work or something when it's my day off or whatever. I like to watch a little bit of Good Mythical Morning or something in bed on YouTube, that's right?
So good. I love Good Mythical Morning.
Me too. Rhett and Link are they're a fucking national treasure. But I like to watch a little something on the phone, but I can only go for maybe 30 minutes. So I get to maybe watch one, maybe two things before that guilt and anxiety kicks in of like, okay, I need to be doing something productive. And rarely is it productive in my real life. like doing some cleaning and chores around the house and stuff like that.
Conceptually productive.
It is conceptually productive. This is something that I've only just recognized about myself, so I'm hoping that I can start addressing it.
I only feel guilty when I do that at work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I really think the state that you're in and the job you do, it has a lot to play. Because for me personally, I'm at home 24/7. I've got, my mom just recently had a little scare and reminded me that, I'm not necessarily wasting my time just not having a job and staying at home. I'm, partially a caregiver.
You're a caretaker.
So
I can.
So I can remind myself when I'm feeling blasé or ennui about it that like I'm still kind of doing something.
Yeah.
But I think it might not be the case, but it is something to note that our Pavlovian response to how we take in media is important. If I go to eat, I will just unconsciously bring up a video to watch.
Oh yeah, me too.
I can no longer eat comfortably unless I'm taking in some content.
Yeah.
But I've also done a really good job, I think, of making sure that when I am browsing YouTube or whatnot, almost all of the content I try to consume has some interesting or educational factor to it.
So that is...
I don't watch mindless stuff.
But that has also become a problem for me in that...
It's never ending.
Yeah.
It's the same as like wasteful content. There's always something else you could be watching.
Well, it's not necessarily something else that I could be watching. If I'm watching something purely for the entertainment value, there's another part of guilt. Because even when I'm being productive, I'm usually watching something. So I have that, I have an additional response in that if I'm watching something for pure entertainment, I guilt myself because I think about it in that I could be watching something more productive for my mind, right? Something that is more educational. I could be watching, instead of watching... we'll just say The Office. Instead of watching The Office, I could be watching Jerry Rig Everything, right? Or I could be watching something that teaches me a new skill. Yeah. Or like I could be using this immensely powerful tool that is YouTube to get better at the things that I want to get better at. Yeah. And so it turns into I binge like 15 hours of tutorials on Adobe Premiere. Right. Yeah. That becomes my entertainment, but I don't think that scratches the itch that my brain has to get some actual entertainment. So I'm at this really weird impasse where like I feel the need to decompress, but I find it really difficult because that guilt and that anxiety kicks in. Yeah. And like I said, this is only a problem that I've recently recognized. So hopefully I can start dealing with it.
It's good.
But I think it's compounded over the last few years in my stress levels in that like, I was never a terribly anxious person before and now I am. I was never terribly, depressed and now I am, right? Well, I guess that's not true. I've gone through bouts of depression through my whole life, but nothing that is outside of the norm, I think. Nothing necessarily that requires like medication or anything like that, but decompression, certainly. I think my brain really craves entertainment and decompression, and it just needs some time for rest, and I'm not giving it that.
It could be. You ask most therapists and whatnot, stuff like what is a fear, what is an addiction, and at least an original definition for that I've always grown up knowing is it's a problem that begins to affect your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
So a fear isn't a problem until it's actively inhibiting you from doing the things you want to do, and addictions aren't an addiction until they're actively interfering with what you should be doing. Right?
Yeah.
So recognizing that you're in this weird feedback loop where you want some kind of catharsis, some release, but the content you're taking isn't doing it, I think is a really good step. And again, we have to remind ourselves that, we've made it through and it hasn't been as hard for other people, but we're coming out of this weird COVID economic downturn state that has completely kind of upended how everyone lives. Before then I was working, I was doing stuff, and now I'm doing the same day-to-day stuff every day. And takes so much effort to feel like I'm not living in Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
But I'm right there with you. Like I
get
picked
a little
up
bit of Groundhog Day syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
I recently tried to pick up the terrain modeling stuff, and through just kind of bad luck, I lost the space I was going to do it in. So it's sitting there, and there's always a part of me every time I'm doing something like I could be out, like I find a way to do this.
Yeah.
but I'm not. And then you just kind of like anxiously kind of cycle
Yeah.
about it. So I don't know. I feel you. And I don't know what the answer is, but there's going to be one out there.
I think honestly, like an easy kind of Band-Aid, or maybe a good fix for Andy here on this one, is a physical activity,
something
of some
that's
sort,
opposite of sitting at a computer.
Yeah,
Dude, that freaks me. Just the thought of it. So, we've talked about getting back into the gym and whatnot.
Yeah, no,
I know you have.
I've been going back, and honestly, like I have a physical job already.
Yeah.
Right now, it's gotten especially in the last year or so, as I've stepped more into that boss position rather than just fixing things and doing it's gotten less physical. And so, yeah, like when I sneezed my back out of place a few months ago, I was like, oh, yep, we gotta do something about that.
Yeah.
So I know like there's parts of your job that are physical, but I know like, I don't think you're like a super like physical like person these days. And that might be the thing that
I'm right there with you on that.
It gets you out of that, like always at the computer for for entertainment, for work, for learning, for like everything, right?
Yeah.
And it's also going to give you a sense of accomplishment, because you're not just doing nothing. You're like you're doing something.
Definitely.
And I don't know, man. I think
you're right. I think you're right. I think that is an important
it's
piece of the puzzle.
A change up in in what you're doing for a stress relief / entertainment. But that was so like one of you talked about like, well, I can't eat unless I'm watching a thing now. I also have a very like whenever it's like, oh, I'm going to sit down and watch a thing. It's like, well, I need a snack. And so like I've
almost the opposite, yeah.
I've actually tried to go the other way with that, where like it's like I'm actually just sitting down to consume entertainment, and that's it. I don't need to snack endlessly while I'm watching TV for 2.5 hours. I'm already being a loaf and watching TV. Let's just eat the meal.
Yeah.
I mean, so I get some of that on like the reverse side, I guess, but
I think you're right. Having a physical activity to do regularly, scheduled would be ideal. And you're right. I think that would be super. Obviously, it's beneficial.
Obviously,
right?
it's beneficial.
Obviously.
But I mean,
there's no downside.
It's specifically beneficial to this problem because it
may very well be.
Yeah.
But the moment you said that, dude, I went into an immediate anxiety issue. Like right when you said it, like the thought of leaving my house and leaving my productivity sphere, right? Fucking triggered anxiety like right away. So, it's something that I recognize that like I don't need to worry about it. I'm not getting pulled out right now, but there is something that I'm going to have to address here. And I'm hoping that like recognizing the issue is going to help it. But yeah, like clearly I need to be doing something a little differently. I need to upset the routine for sure and do something healthy. But yeah, I'm gonna have to get over something.
Here's an idea.
I think.
Do you listen to any quasi-proxy productive podcasts like Does Linus Tech Tips or they do?
Oh, yeah. Well, So I listen to things like The WAN Show. I do a lot I do gaming news podcasts too. So I listen to some entertainment podcasts as well, but that has to be while I'm doing something productive.
It's a little bit more difficult with YouTube because if you don't pay for the extra screen gets turned off, it stops. But one thing you consider,
I do pay for the extra.
Okay, so there you go. So one thing you consider is when you're watching these semi-productive videos and like Adobe Premiere stuff, just walk while you do it. Just go out for a walk. That way you get to take in the content, but you're also leaving your house. And physical activity aside, I think leaving house
the space,
might be a good idea. Sometimes it's just fucking cabin fever. I've been inside for 2 years. I'm like, I'm just going to go do this thing that I was going to do in my room outside because I'll go stand in the front yard.
The thing is,
a different space.
It's weird because the motivation, I'm motivated like when I wake up, but the moment, so the anxiety happens the moment that I'm not doing something productive. So even when I take a shower, I'm thinking like, all right, I got to wrap this up real quick. Like there's no enjoyment to the shower scenario anymore. It started to impact like my enjoyment in doing everything else that isn't productive.
Plenty of enjoyment for me in the shower.
but so it's weird because like I have that mentality of like, why not throw one of those podcasts on and start cleaning up the fucking house, right? Yeah. And sometimes I get myself to do it, but the anxiety is always looming when I'm doing something that doesn't pertain to like what I feel is work, right? So it's tough, man. So I've definitely been pushing a little bit more recently to get out and start doing some things that are still productive, but outside of my normal space. Yeah. So I have been doing a little bit of that here and there. But yeah, it's a struggle so far.
Yeah, I think it's good to acknowledge it. Yeah. 1 second, Josh, I'll be quick. I really think that, just like we all have in our own ways, you've curated a kind of a post-COVID issue. Yeah. And, we're humans, we're not really designed to be in this quasi state of always in maybe wear a mask, maybe don't, maybe things shut down, maybe don't. We're now nearing the middle of our lives and our habits and our work and our jobs and our activities become rote. So these weird eccentricities, right? These idiosyncrasies, they are going to crop up. They get curated over time through, like you said, mental tension. So,
you're right. I think COVID had quite a lot to do with it. Yeah.
I was going to say we're also in a very kind of an isolationist mindset. But I getting back to, I can't remember now. I'm going to say something about the single player games. Like even when I'm playing a single player game, it was a while ago. I can't think.
You're enjoying it?
Well, I'm enjoying it, but a lot of times I'm in Discord with a lot of times I'm not even playing the same game as the people I'm like as my buds I'm chatting with.
I see you guys in Discord and I want to join, but I don't because I'm doing something productive while listening to something that is educational. And breaking that cycle has been really difficult. Like you'll notice maybe more recently, I have been jumping to Discord occasionally.
It's good to hear you.
It's that takes it sounds really weird, but it takes immense effort for me to do that.
No, dude, I get that. Like going, so I like going to the gym. I feel great after I'm done, getting that sweat and burnout.
But the before,
but like there's the before. It's like, I went to work and then I want to go out in the world, and then it's like, oh well, I forgot my headphones. So what's even the point? Like, they didn't have the type of G Fuel I wanted before for my pre-workout. So I'm just gonna go home, and it's like, no, it does. Like none of that matters.
But I think that's more natural. Yeah. Because it's like it's an anticipation of work, right? Yeah. It's an anticipation of having to put in effort. Where I'm suffering the opposite. In that like I really want to spend some time with my friends in Discord, but I have a mental block that is stopping me from jumping in there. In that right now I'm listening to something that is educational and I'm furthering my brain bits. And I'm also being productive. Like I'm in Premiere right now and I'm editing a podcast or whatever. It's a weird headspace. Like I automatically recognize that it's not healthy. Yeah. I've got to figure out how I'm going to deal with that. Because like now that I've recognized it, I think that's going to be easier, but.
Well, know this, you said that and it reminded me of something. So there are issues that some people have that are, collectively known as bad things, and the opposite. And a good example, it's one thing to be overweight, and like everyone knows societally wise that that's like a problem that is considered generally bad. But you also have people who get super fit and attractive and they have a problem with it. Yeah. You have people that are really dumb. It's an obvious problem. And you have people really smart, right? So the idea of a slob or a lazy person having a problem with motivation is a commonly understood thing because we all have that tendency.
Yeah.
They take it to an extreme. On the flip side of things, you have workaholics, or you have people where that broad term applies to, where like it sounds a lot like my dad, who is, if he is not working, he cannot relax. He cannot enjoy himself. And it's taken to the last 5 years of his life here now that he's actually been able to take little breaks. Yeah. So all I was pointing out is these are the same two sides of the same coin. They're
Yeah,
just
for sure.
as valid as the other.
Oh,
thing.
yeah, no,
So as long as you know that like it's not a unique, strange problem that isn't a problem, because it's a valid thing, you know, the idiosyncrasy of human behavior.
And I think that is part of my behavioral cycle, because I have certainly been addicted to work.
You've worked a lot your life.
Like straight up, like, you know, people might think it's silly, but like I was a manager for Taco Bell for years, and I was straight up addicted to work.
Yeah,
I opted to work
hours a week all the time.
Yeah, I was working salary, so I worked way past when I was getting paid. Right, they paid me for 50 hours a week. I would easily do 80 hours a week. That was probably less than my average work week.
Yeah.
While maintaining a rating with the guys, and you know, so and
social stuff.
And I learned, my body became attuned to 2.5 to 3 hours of sleep, and recognizing how unhealthy that was. Like I would get massive headaches with like more than 4 hours of sleep, and they would last all day until I went back to sleep, reset with a 2.5 to 3 hour sleep cycle. Which would even get interrupted by having to do laundry, because I was working so much that I had to start my wash, set an alarm for an hour and a half later so I could move my stuff into the dryer, and then get another maybe hour of sleep. So,
Side note, Josh is currently fucking a hand
diddling some hands
with a vape pen.
But that's going to be
complete non sequitur there, but
in secret.
Josh is being dirty in secret.
Yeah.
Another ring was made. One ring to bring them all.
Sign up to our OnlyFans to see the hand ring.
I mean, you could just check out Twitch for free. Make sure you follow us, twitch.tv/videogametango. So that's what I wanted to talk about.
It's good to bring up. Right.
Yeah, it's just it's something that I've just recognized. So when I brought up Adam Sandler movies, that was my decision to just do something entertaining. So I turned everything off.
Yeah.
I put my phone on the charger out of reach, and I was like, I'm just going to watch this. And that's it. I'm going to dedicate time for 2 movies in a row. Try and push it real hard. And yeah, so it's something that I've recognized, and something that I'm trying to reincorporate downtime into my life.
One last thing that you might consider. I know you don't probably run an actual schedule, but you might assist yourself by literally, in your brain, at least mentally, scheduling some time during the week for nothing but downtime.
Yeah.
That way it's a part of your quote unquote work schedule.
At least daily. Like I could come up with a schedule daily, right?
Half an hour from this block to this block, assuming something else gets interrupted. I turn off all stuff and I just find something to do that's just there to zone out to.
Yeah. So you brought up watching a thing while you eat and how it's like a Pavlovian response now. Yeah. I had
to think for that.
Yeah. I had this thought the other day. While I'm sitting in my car, I'm vaping, and I'm watching something on my cell phone during my 15-minute break. And I just thought, you know, I used to just go outside and sit.
Stand there. Yeah, or sit.
For a break. Like, I smoked, right? Yeah. But I used to just sit with my thoughts.
Yep.
That was all to entertain me. I don't know if my brain is capable of that anymore.
No, the internet's ruined me.
Yeah.
Like right now, mostly. I'm wondering if my phone misses me.
So I've been thinking,
right in front of me. I can see it. It does not miss me.
I've been thinking about doing regular balcony time, whether it's with somebody or by myself. And like, I don't smoke weed anymore, but I'm thinking about like maybe pick up some flower and just sit and think for a little while. Because, dude, you know, I used to be full of ideas.
Yeah.
Like, I would bring up an idea to you guys all the fucking time. In 2011, I was talking to you guys about setting up let's do a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's been a long time.
One that we didn't start until 2019. You know?
2011, Andy is very proud.
Well, no, 2011, Andy is kicking current Andy in the ass because he's like, why the fuck didn't you do this when you said you were going to do it?
Well, 2011, Josh can't catch 2023, Josh. Yeah.
So, yeah. So we have other stuff we wanted to, so we this podcast is also running long.
But it's the second best podcast ever listed.
Yeah,
and I think this was an excellent topic to talk about because, especially if there's people out there, I know that when I listen to other people in these mildly parasocial relationships and they talk about problems that I relate to, you're not alone, right? Even you to us, right?
Yeah.
Half the time I'm playing video games, it is purely my downtime is I need extremely complex things to manage all the time for me to feel relaxed. So I was talking to Alan the other night, Deep Rock Galactic asks you to juggle 19 balls at one time, right? You have all these things you're keeping track of, as well as fighting enemies, RimWorld, managing an entire colony of people and all these things. That is my relaxation because when I was younger, reading books or going to school and learning things, that's how I kept that thing happy. And now most of the things I do are so non-taxing that it drives me up a fucking wall.
Yeah.
So like the first thing I'll do in the morning is usually bust out, like I've got a Slay the Spire card game on my phone. And before I even get out of bed, 20, 30 minutes of doing a run, trying to calculate value of mana per card and which card to add to my deck. Cause that's just, it's not a brag. That's how I need to relax. Cause if I don't feed that part of my brain, I start going crazy.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, that's also escapism. It's also, I could be finding a more productive way to feed that part of my brain, actually learning something or doing a task. But I don't have it.
Sudoku. Fuck.
I do play Sudoku. Yeah. That's one of those things where it's pointless and it's, for me, mindless. It's just numbers and boxes over and over again. But
it keeps the Alzheimer's away.
Maybe. That's right.
Sleep really helps. So
sleep too.
Yeah.
Josh,
anyways.
I'm sorry. I think we have to.
This was a good discussion.
It was a good discussion. I just didn't mean to railroad the whole thing with that.
No, that's fine. Because she told me she's gonna be at the airport. Turns out she's at the bus station at Grants Pass. She lives in Eagle Point. It was inconvenient at fuck, and it happened at 1:30 in the morning. Bam.
That was Josh's notes. Picking up a friend at the quote unquote airport.
The brain thing I'll save till next week because that's just fucking interesting.
So make sure you tune in to next week's Balcony Time, and we'll talk about fourth because we got Video Game Takeover before that. So we're gonna be talking about Josh doing a brain split / dog epilepsy.
Nope, that's sort of.
It's exactly what it is.
Those are the notes you gave me, except for you just said epilepsy.
Yeah.